Two trade rumors floating around news wires right now. We don't know if they're true. There's no concrete information to back up the claims and reports, but we've got to talk about it. It's floating around enough that we come in, we kick it around, we shoot it down, we decide what we do if things played out the way that the rumors suggest they could play out. The two rumors being that the Jets are looking into potentially trading Breece Hall. They may want to draft Ashton Jeanty at 7 overall, but keep in mind, on these rumors, the 7 overall pick might not get you Ashton Jeanty because the Raiders are looking very primed and ready to pounce on Jeanty at number 6 overall. So keep in mind that this stuff is, it's hard to tell what's true and what's not right now during smoke season. They call it smoke and mirror season, but we'll break it down and talk about the pros and cons. If he was to get traded, not to suggest we believe it to be true, but if he was to get traded, what would we want it to look like? What could happen? Would they take Jeanty? What if Jeanty's gone? Like, do they make this trade on the clock? If let's say at 7 Jeanty was there, or what? How does it look? And then Tyreek Hill dropping another, this time a TikTok video that insinuates he's getting traded. The Fantasy Football Show breaking news emergency live stream edition begins right now.
Hi, I'm worried William, and my mommy just warmed me up a hot pocket, and I've never even talked to a hot chick.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So lots to go over here. Jets to trade Breece Hall is the going rumor. Let's look at that rumor, see what that rumor looks like, because it is not something that's concrete or been substantiated or, double confirmed or nothing like that. This comes from an ESPN, I believe an ESPN reporter, Rich, who I don't know the last. I mean, I think he's well connected. We definitely see his name all the time throughout year after year, but I don't know that he's somebody that's been breaking a lot of these types of things. But this is coming via him. It sounds like the new Jets head coach Aaron Glenn wants to shift to a running back by committee. But again, this comes off of the interview where he said he's got 3 RBs. We got to be very careful to knee-jerk react to Breece Hall's value or cost of entry. But at the same time, we're here to rejoice that the rest of the world is not going to take this well. The fact that you keep hearing that they're going to be a running back by committee situation, it's going to scare the piss out of everybody. And you have to be careful to draw your line in the sand to pounce on the opportunity that might present itself, which I believe is now going to be the 4th round. I'll take Breece Hall no matter what the trade rumors look like, even if it looks like rocky roads or wavy waters. I'll take Breece Hall around 4 all day.
Let him cook.
All day long. Oh, Smitty. I'm a worried William, Smitty. I'm a worried William. I'm worried.
Hi, I'm worried William, and my mommy just warmed me up a hot pocket, and I've never even talked to a hot chick.
I'm not worried at all. And if he gets traded, even better. He's going to get traded into a great situation. Is he in a running back by committee? I kind of hope he is to a degree, because I'd rather have him dominate, even with the lesser snap share, in a committee at 4th round value than not be in a committee, or have him not talk like this and have him be going at 2.12 to 3.4. Do we understand the difference? Breece Hall in these situations in the 4th round is better than Breece Hall not in these situations in round 2. It's that simple. And the worried Williams are going to come out of the woodwork and pile it on. And so I don't think there's a world where Breece Hall does not fall into round number 4. And it's comments like this. No offense, Joel, you did it to yourself. Let Braylon Allen cook. Braylon Allen's not in this situation if they trade him and they go get Jeanty. Jeanty ain't relinquishing nothing to nobody. Let me tell you something. If this plays out exactly the way they're talking, they're not trading Breece Hall, Joel. They're not trading him unless they draft Jeanty. If they draft Jeanty, no one's taking anything from Jeanty. Nobody. So, look, Braylon Allen has, if they don't trade, they stay in the committee, Braylon Allen has some potential. He has a little bit of the poor man's watered down version, Walmart version of David Montgomery. And I like him a lot. But for anybody to think that he's relinquishing if he stays in New York in a committee, which is fine. Jahmyr Gibbs is in a committee. How's Jahmyr Gibbs look in a committee? Let's see what the calculations say. I think. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs's workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. This man, Jahmyr Gibbs, he looks better than Kamara looked coming out of college, more prepared to become Kamara. Smitty, did you just say Gibbs was more prepared to become Kamara than Alvin Kamara was prepared to become Kamara?
Got him.
A lot of different ways this can go. Let's break it all down from every angle. Breece Hall stays and plays in a committee. Unbelievable.
Let him cook.
He's going to go in the 4th round. Stays in New York. They don't draft Jeanty. I'm going over every single scenario. Stays in New York. They don't draft Jeanty. Top 10 running back. 4th round pick. Fresh legs. Pops off a bunch of runs, is more efficient, maybe has better stats than if he got more carries. Option number 2, he gets traded, goes to Denver, goes to the Commanders. Those would probably be the 2 most likely teams if I had to gather the information that we've seen, put it all together and say, what does logic tell us? Well, logic tells us that, yeah, the teams that would be most interested in his services would probably be It would be Cleveland if they were interested in building right now. They're not. It would be something along the lines of the Washington Commanders, maybe the New Orleans Saints, who have shown tremendous interest in Jeanty, and they know they might not be able to get him at the 9 overall pick. Dallas, I could see them being interested at a certain cost. That would be amazing if you went to Dallas. If you went to Dallas, New Orleans, or and New Orleans would be more of a messy situation. So let's throw that one out. Dallas would be phenomenal. Washington would be phenomenal. Denver would be amazing. The Raiders would be very intriguing. And those are probably the most likely landing spots for Breece Hall if he was to get traded. So if he gets traded, even better than if he stayed. But if he stays at 4th round value, he's amazing. If he goes to the Denver Broncos or the Commanders to be their starter, he goes in like the round 1, round 2 turn. If anybody thinks they're getting Breece Hall in the 4th round in Washington, they're not. If anybody thinks they're getting Breece Hall in the 4th round or even anywhere in the 3rd round in Denver, you're not. He's going at the 1-2 turn. Might be a 1st rounder. Might go number 9, 10, 11 overall if he's in Denver to start. So you got to ask the question, how much do you think Aaron Glenn's going to turn this offense around? How well do you think they'll run in New York in 2025? How much will they get back to the meat and potatoes of this team, the youth-based build and movement they had going on before Aaron Rodgers came over and infected it with his Green Bay pals? Aaron Glenn is going to run the ball a lot. He's going to run the ball so much that they need to call upon Braylon Allen. Braylon, get in here, take some carries, just like Monty's needed. Monty needs to carry the ball 200 times. When somebody says to me, man, I really wish Monty wasn't there, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You want Monty. They run the ball 450 to 500 times a season, and especially this year with the potential falling apart to some degree of everything Ben Johnson built, it's going to crumble a little bit. Can they salvage it? Can they restore it and bring it back up and put posts up and keep the walls up and figure out a way to get the Lions offense to stay as much the same as they can? Sure, they're going to try. But we've seen this happen time and time again. I'm not saying it falls apart totally, but think of the Eagles. They lost Shane Steichen to Indy. They were horrible. They had to come back. They had a bad year, come back, revisit the OC-DC situation, figure out how to rehire again, and then they came back and bounced back. And now Kellen Moore's gone again from Philly. How's that going to work out? Ben Johnson's gone from Detroit. You think that the Lions aren't going to run the ball 470 to 500 times? You don't want Gibbs getting more than 250 carries. You need someone to carry the ball 200 to 250 times outside of Jahmyr Gibbs, and you don't want it to be a young, fresh rookie. It's wild to me, the takes on Monty and Gibbs. Stop. Just stop. You don't know what you're talking about. You're embarrassing yourself. You're a worried William.
Hi, I'm worried William.
You're a worried William. Okay, now the same thing goes for Breece Hall. Everything I just said goes for Breece Hall. The Jets are going to run the ball 450 plus times this year. You can't have Breece Hall running 300 carries. He's not that type of back. He's Jahmyr Gibbs. Hall is Gibbs. Gibbs is Hall. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. What in the hell do you want him to do? When you interview me, and I'm the Jets head coach, and I say, yeah, we're going to run the ball 500 times. How do you like that? Okay, who's going to run the ball 500 times? Well, what people want me to say is Breece Hall. I'm going to give Breece Hall 500 carries. Let's multiply that. 4.5 yards a carry because he won't be as efficient. He's not going to average 5 a carry on 500 carries. Times 500 carries is 2,250 yards. Breece Hall is going to run the ball 2,250 yards. How do you like that? Is that what you wanted to hear? Let's see. 500 carries divided by 17 games is 20. He's going to get 30 carries a game. I'm going to give Breece Hall 30 carries a game. Is that what you wanted to hear? Is that what all of the news outlets and people perpetuating this running back by committee to be such a devastating move? And I'm not saying Breece Hall won't get traded. I'm not saying that. I don't know. Nobody knows. These rumors are weird. And sometimes rumors can trigger teams to look into things because the rumors trigger all these interested parties that would never even think to ask or pick up the phone and say, hey, New York, is this true? Breece Hall's available? And they're like, well, no, but what are you thinking? We're always listening. Like sometimes news and rumors can do that. Sometimes it can. I'm not saying Breece Hall doesn't get traded. Understand what I'm saying. But for everybody acting like when this man Aaron Glenn's asked, what are you going to do with your 500 carries? Well, we got 3 backs. Braylon Allen gets about, 150 carries, let's say. Let's say our other back gets 100. So you got 250 carries there. We got a surplus of about 235 to 250 carries, not receptions, carries to give to Breece Hall. What in the hell is wrong with people? How is this that confusing? Why are people so petrified of the term running back by committee in an NFL where hard-nosed, between the tackle, running machine teams run the ball 500 times? What is wrong with people? Why are they so gullible to this news? So, if he gets traded, he's going to cost you a top 13, 14 overall pick. Understand that. Understand what you're wishing for. And I'm not saying I wouldn't pay it. Give me Breece Hall at the top of round 2 all day long in Washington, all day long on Denver. We're not changing anything in terms of our hype train. We conduct the Breece Hall hype train. Everybody else is just along for the ride.
Get Breece.
If he stays in New York and they don't draft Jeanty, he's going to the moon, whether you like it or not. Whether you're petrified britches and getting your panties in a bunch wants it to happen or not. Doesn't matter what you want. It's going to happen, and you're going to want to get on board because as he goes to Mars, as we start realizing he's going to Saturn, when we realize he's going to Jupiter, you're going to eventually want to get on this train, and we're not going to let you on, and we're going to take away your Bijan card on top of it.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
If he gets traded, expect to pay the price. And he'll be deserving of it. He'll be worth it. He's a top 15 overall player right now. We don't have to pay it, though. I'm excited, and you should be excited about the proposition that this guy and all this news is going to trigger him to go in round 4. Now, let's talk about the trade potential. The Jets may be open to trading Hall if Ashton Jeanty is available at the 7th pick. So that report's been floating around without this added context. This is saying that Hall may or may not be available depending on if Jeanty's available at this pick. So the other reports floating around are just talking about Hall is maybe going to be on the block potentially. And this report says that if the Jets are sitting there and Jeanty's there, they may trade Hall on the clock. Is it possible? Sure. Do I think that there's a lot of legs to this? No. But could there be very soon? As I mentioned, that this kind of rumor stuff can obviously kickstart some teams to be very interested. And this being planted in the minds of everybody, if Jeanty was available, teams would pick up the phone and say, well, we've heard this story before. Is it true? Is Hall available? And they're like, we didn't really want to go this route, but man, I mean, let's talk about it. But the truth of the matter is, guys, that Jeanty's more likely to go to the Raiders at 6 than to fall to 7. So I'm not really seeing this scenario playing out like everybody kind of wants it to play out, like they think it'll play out in terms of this news and rumors. Right here it says that perhaps the Jets could consider moving him if Boise State star Ashton Jeanty is available in the 7th pick of the 2024 or 2025 April 24th NFL draft. It will be difficult to keep Sauce, Wilson, and Hall. So the thinking is that contract extensions. Later on, Aaron Glenn's trying to build this thing. Can he get rid of Breece Hall? And there's a contractual reason to trade him. Like there is a benefit to saying, hey, maybe we could get rid of him for the right price. Draft Ashton Jeanty. This man, Aaron Glenn, wants to run the hell out of the ball. And when Aaron Glenn was hired, I told everyone this is going to be a running team. As soon as this defensive-minded coach got into the head coaching job, get ready for Breece Hall to go to the mother freaking
to the moon.
If it's not Hall, it's going to be whoever's in there. And for those of you that want it to be Braylon Allen, and remember, I'm a big Braylon Allen fan. We were the biggest proponents of Braylon Allen you could find on the internet last year. And that's not something to brag about because he didn't deliver. Like, that's just me being honest and trying to take ownership of me saying Braylon Allen was the guy to go get and one of the guys to go get and stash on your bench. And it didn't work out. I still very much like him. But there's no world where Braylon Allen is the starting running back for this team because it's either Jeanty getting drafted, who's not relinquishing anything in terms of what's his. 290 carries, 300 carries. They're still going to run the ball, like I said, 450 to 500 times. So, yeah, somebody can, like Braylon Allen, get 150. The other guy get 50, whatever. Like Braylon Allen will be involved, but Jeanty's not relinquishing goal line carries to Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen, go get Jeanty a coffee. Are you kidding me? Now, Breece Hall could relinquish some goal line work to Braylon Allen. And so if the trade doesn't happen, the trade scenario, then yeah, Braylon Allen could have 7, 8, 9 touchdowns on the year with very low yardage, decent yardage, but low yardage. He's a poor man's Walmart version of David Montgomery in this system with Breece Hall popping off big, long runs, getting 3 to 5 receptions a game with 12 to 14 carries a game. And that's what you want out of Breece Hall. That's an efficient Breece Hall. That is Achane in his prime. That is the Achane role that Achane had when Achane was at his best. His rookie year, the way he performed, the way they delivered the ball to him, the way they got him in open space, the way they had other RBs, Mostert running it up the gut, and you have this fresh guy kind of in a wide back role. This guy, Aaron Glenn's going to use the hell out of Breece Hall. And if you watch the interview, when they talk up Breece is going to be fine, he's in a good place, it wasn't like he came out and said the way people are saying he said it. Like, oh, I'm going to use all my running backs. This is a running back by committee. I hate Breece Hall. I hate Breece Hall. That's what people that read about this think happened because they didn't look into it themselves. Aaron Glenn didn't say anything of the sort. Aaron Glenn's open-minded to anything that could change the team and get it ready for the future. And let me just say this. As much as I love Breece Hall, Ashton Jeanty is a better player. So if I'm the head coach and Jeanty's there at 7, I consider it too. Now, I told you this the other day. I said, I'm crazy, and I know you guys aren't going to want to hear this. I said this on the live stream the other day. I'd draft Jeanty and keep Hall, and I'd have my Monty and Gibbs that way, and that's just the way I would do it, and I know it pisses a lot of people off, but if I'm being honest and I'm telling you how I'd coach, that's how I'd do it. But you know what? It would still produce. It would still produce. It would still be a glorious running back stable because you're going to get this guy in the 4th or 5th round if that was the case. But I truly believe that this team's not going to have Jeanty and Breece Hall on the roster. No one needs to be fearful of owning Breece Hall and best ball already. If you've got tons of shares, underdog, code Smitty, get up to $1,000 in bonus credit. Just make sure you use code Smitty. The link I'll drop in the description. Draft Breece Hall. In the coming weeks, Breece Hall is going to go to round 4. Mark my words, he's fallen to round 4. He's fallen to round 4. But mark my words, this is going to be glorious value whatever way we twist it. If he gets traded to Denver, Washington, he goes up in ADP, but he's worth it. You're not going to be able to get him outside the top 14 overall if he gets traded to Denver to start. If he gets traded to Washington to start. Okay? If he stays, that means that Jeanty isn't available. They didn't get Jeanty. He's going to ball out in a running back by committee. It's wild to me. Tyreek Hill, this is not the first time. This is not the second time. This is not the third time that this guy has put a cryptic tweet or TikTok post or whatever, Telegram or open letter written to a newspaper. Like, this guy's nonstop with this. And if you read the top, it says, seeing your team may actually trade you. And he plays the music and, basically just like shows a shocked reaction as he's reading an alert on his phone. He continues to perpetuate this narrative that he will be traded. And this is not the first time. The first time was in the locker room when he said he's done. He's gone. He's peacing out. I'm done. I'm out. Don't you think you could? No, I'm out. Could it get resolved? No, I'm out. And he said he didn't have time to really digest it and think about the question. And he walked it back. But it's one of those things where I believe the team probably approached him and said, bro, if you want to get traded, this is not the right way. You're taking away our leverage. So if you want to get traded, we can figure it out. And we also agree maybe there is some opportunity to look at. So they walked it back. And now I think he's been waiting and waiting. The NFL draft is approaching, and any smart player or smart agent would approach their player and say, hey, our leverage vanishes after the NFL draft. The reason that is because teams that make trades for players like Tyreek Hill, they do it before they spend draft capital on their potential replacement in their mind. Like, if I can't get Tyreek Hill, I got to go get someone like him or draft somebody and fill that roster spot. Teams that are looking to go get Tyreek Hill have a wide receiver need. They'll address it in the draft. Once the draft is over, the team no longer has the need. Even though they love Tyreek Hill, they've already filled the spot. We moved on already. The leverage of the player goes out the window once the NFL draft is gone. So that's probably why he's sitting here going, I was told by my team if I was quiet, I could get traded. They haven't reached out to me. I'm not hearing anything. I'm going to start making waves again. I told him I'd be quiet, but now I'm going to make some noise again. This guy's off his rocker. He's on the AB track to a degree. And I don't know that a lot of teams want him in the locker room. And I think most teams and people in fantasy football circles, we all question whether he's a top guy anyway. Top shelf guy anyway. Is he done? Is he Cooper Kupp now? Where it's like, we're kind of hoping we see flashes, but we all are not dumb enough to think we're going to see it the entire season. his wrist was a problem. He had surgery on her, apparently. Although, I don't know. It's hard to even know what's true anymore with the NFL news. But how did the wrist prevent him from even getting open? And he didn't lose necessarily his step because he went out and ran the baseball diamond and broke the world record just recently. The quickness and speed is still there. So was it Tua? Is that why he wants out? Could he be amazing for one more year? Or, well, ironically, he could have been amazing for one more year. Last year was misused, and he ironically falls off the cliff right as he enters this year and gets traded, and we never know the difference. We never know if he would have done well for one more year, and we just assume he dropped off last year when it really was this year. He goes to a new home and ironically drops off. Hard to say. But I do believe that the likelihood of him getting traded is higher than the likelihood of Breece Hall getting traded. The likelihood of both of them getting traded is still possible. It's not even something I would say is non-existent or tell everybody, like, what does anybody know? None of us know. I don't know the actual inner workings of the draft room, the pre-draft room prep going on in New York. I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe Jeanty is Aaron Glenn's draft crush and he's going to do what he can to even move up and draft him. We don't really know. Remember that this is not Aaron Glenn's team, so he might come in and there might be a beef that we don't know about between Breece Hall and Aaron Glenn. I'm not saying there is or there's evidence of any of this. I'm just merely trying to tell you it would be reckless for me to come in and say, all of these are false. Well, what proof do I have of that? I will say that the odds of this thing going through, the odds of this being misguided, the odds of this being more smoke than it is anything else are higher than the odds of it being true. But I also have seen things that have been built off smoke perpetuate into an actual trade because the rumors triggered teams to inquire. And then all of a sudden the team's trading a player they had no intention of trading before the news kickstarted everything. So there's so many ways to look at this. I just want to make sure we're not taking a hardline stance on any of these angles because the truth is we don't know. But I think we broke it down to a degree that makes a lot of sense. I think everybody now should know that Breece Hall in Washington or Denver or Las Vegas would be straight fire. I think he would climb an ADP, so you get what you pay for. You get what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for because Breece Hall in round 4 in New York might still be just as good, though. But you're getting, in terms of production, and you're getting him at 4th round cost, which is twice the value. Like Breece Hall at 4.2 or 4.4 in New York, in this committee that everybody's so concerned about, might be better than taking him 12 overall in Denver or Washington. Maybe not. I mean, it's pretty close, to be honest. Like, I got to argue both. I love Breece Hall. And the Worry Williams are panicking everybody. And I'm telling you, the ADP is going to drop. And we're going to cook either way. We're going to cook with Breece Hall at 12 overall. If he goes to Denver or Washington and we got to pay the price, we're cooking with Breece Hall at 12. We stand with Breece. And if he goes to round 4 because of the committee and he stays in New York and everybody's scared to death of the committee, we're cooking especially in round 4 with Breece.
Let him cook.
Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Clint says, when do I cut off the $50 predictions? Kickoff. Thursday night kickoff of week 1. That's when I cut it off. It'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. I mean, end of the day, it's like, we're just waiting for the smoke and mirrors and fires and fake fires and everything. Not cooking, Smitty, take a lap. Here, I'll do you one better, bro. I'll do you one better. You hate being here so much. There you go. When you're always negative, you're eventually going to be removed from the community. So that's on him. Deal my 1.4 rookie draft pick for Breece Hall in Dynasty. I would. That's a real close call. Just it depends on like who's there. Like if the right player falls to you at 1.4, then you could live to regret this later. Let me give you the example. The example would be, let's say Trey Henderson goes to Denver. Let's say Hampton goes to Chicago and Jeanty goes to the Raiders. Okay, so those are three fantastic running back landing spots. And Ted McMillan or Hunter goes in one of those other, spots, and you're drafting at 1.4 and one of those running backs fall. So it goes Jeanty, it goes Hampton, Ted McMillan, and then you're on the clock, or you would have been, and Trey Henderson would be there. I like Trey Henderson in Denver more than I like Breece Hall in New York, just because I love Trey Henderson about as much as Breece Hall as a prospect, as a potential NFL player. And so eventually he'll get you more time. You're setting back but at the same time, predicting all those damn things, to go through, and then at 1.4 you're sitting on gold and not some questionable situation, I'd probably take Breece Hall and deal my 1 point. So that was the one super chat. Thank you for that super chat. There's one more super chat that came in. Aaron, appreciate you dropping the super chat. Aaron says, I'll have Chuba, Breece, and Jacobs. How do you rank them for 2025? I think they're all really close, bro. I think you can make an argument that any one of them is going to be the best running back of your trio. And I think they're all very, very strong, top of round 3 potential guys, with Breece Hall being, depending on where you're drafting. But I think he falls into the 3rd round guaranteed now. Like 100% guaranteed. In a non-best ball, Breece Hall falls into 3. In best ball, he falls into 4. With this perpetuation of committee, the scared Scotty, regurgitation is spreading like wildfire, spreading like a pandemic. People are like, Breece Hall running back by committee, Breece Hall running. You ever play the telephone game? Let's try the telephone game right now. Rock out. Can you promise me, Bruce and Rock out? Can you promise me that you're not going to listen to what I say? You'll put the phone away. Okay, I want both. This is not anything bad. We're going to play the telephone game. Okay? This is the way news happens. So, Rock Out and Bruce, do not have the phone near you for 10 seconds, please. Okay? Okay? All right. They're not listening. Okay, put it away. Gump, I want you to say this phrase to Rock Out. Your mom went to the store and bought some Wheaties and then mowed the lawn and then drafted Breece Hall at number 3.
Your mom went to the store.
Hold on. Bruce, you there? All right, Rock Out, are you there? All right, let's see when they come back. Hold on.
Oh, what's that?
Okay, Bruce, keep the phone away from you for 10 more seconds, Bruce, okay? Rock Out, stay here. Bruce, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Bruce, come back in 10 more seconds. Don't listen for 10 seconds, okay? Go.
Oh, okay.
All right. Gump, tell Rock Out what I said.
I think I can remember. Your mom went to the store and bought some Wheaties and then cut the grass.
Okay, good. Let's go over to Rock Out. Rock Out when Bruce is back. Bruce, let us know when you're there.
I'm back.
Okay, go ahead. Rock Out. Tell Bruce what he said to you.
His mom bought some Wheaties and cut some grass.
His mom bought some what?
Wheaties and cut some grass.
Okay. So, you notice how Breece Hall was left out? We don't even have any information about Breece Hall anymore. It's completely gone. The telephone game and the way that people pass information around is crazy. So much gets lost in the weeds. So much gets lost when you start trying to relay what you heard from somebody. And that's why sometimes I go really hard at people in the chat that say something really reckless, or I can tell because of pattern recognition that this has been said so many times in the same way by like 4 different people that they're all hearing it from somewhere and they're regurgitating something inaccurately. And so Breece Hall, the last thing I said was in Breece Hall, I took Breece Hall number 3 overall in the draft, and Gump left that out. So when Gump left that out, that means that Rock Out left it out. That means Bruce had no chance of hearing anything about Breece Hall. And that's the telephone
Right.
game that things get lost in translation. I'm very impressed that you guys, kept Wheaties in there though and cut the grass. All right,
Yeah.
let me go over to Gump real quickly. Gump, what are your thoughts on Hill, Hall, Jeanty? If Hall does get traded, where do you want him traded? And you can't say the Lions. I take that off the board. If you say that, I'm hanging up on you. Where do you want Breece Hall to get traded? Where do you want Tyreek Hill to get traded? And where does Jeanty get drafted? Go.
I want Breece Hall to go to Denver.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be pretty phenomenal. The question is though, do you like him in New York with this threat of committee at 4.4, or do you like paying 12 overall value on draft day for Breece Hall if he's in Denver? That's the problem though. That's the give and take, because Hall in New York could be just as good as Hall in Denver. Don't get me wrong, if I could choose, I put him in Denver. But look, Denver had a committee too, and Sean Payton's always run a committee to a degree. That's the funny part, is nobody would talk about that. Sean
They
Payton did it smartly. He had Kamara balling out. All right, Gump, where do you want Tyreek Hill to get traded, or do you not want him to get traded at all?
I want Tyreek to get traded to Dallas.
That would be interesting. That would be crazy. All right, rock out. Where do you want Hall and where do you want Hill?
I would say Denver. I mean, it'd be cool if he goes to Washington, but
Yeah.
I don't think they would do it for our second round pick. So I don't know if they would do that. And then Hill. It's a wild card. I don't think it would happen. I would say he would want to go to the Chiefs, but I don't think that would happen at another spot.
All right. Yeah, Chiefs
maybe.
is something that happened, but hard to say. I just don't know that anybody's gonna Hill's not gonna get much at all in terms of return for the Dolphins though. But maybe they get rid of him anyway. I don't know. But hard to say what he would do, wherever he goes. Changing teams is very tough. That's why if he went to KC, at least he'd be able to pick things up really quickly because he knows that system. He knows Andy Reid. It certainly would be kind of a nut shot to the Rice and Worthy values, but Mahomes would go through the roof, and his ADP would climb into the 4th round. All right, real quickly.
Maybe Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay's interesting. Let me go over to Travis. Travis, you're live.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, so I don't really buy that the Jets are going to trade Breece Hall, but and I could see Hill being a draft day trade, something creative. But if I had my way, I'd want Hall to stay with the Jets because I'd rather see Hampton or Henderson going to the Broncos.
Yeah.
And then Tyreek, I'd like to see him with either Vegas or the Ravens, Baltimore.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Let me paint this picture because similar to what I just said, what Travis is saying now. If you look at it this way, this is where logic needs to come in for everybody. You get what you got to remember, you get what you ask for. So if let me lower this music here. If you go with Breece Hall in New York as a Jet, he's going to go in the 4th round. He's going to start falling to the 4th round. Jeanty goes to the Raiders. He goes top 13 over top 12, 11 to 12 overall. Maybe 10 to 12 overall. Because I think he'll climb a little bit once it's actually a reality. Then people get excited, right? Maybe even 9 to 12, honestly. So Jeanty 9 to 12 overall. Trey goes to Denver. So this was Jeanty was Las Vegas, right? So Jeanty, LV, Trey Denver. Where's Trey go if he's drafted by the Denver Broncos? The 3.1, the 2.10, the 3.5. Right now, Trey Henderson's going in the 4th or 5th round, but Don't you think he'd be like a 2-3 turn player if he was in Denver?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
2-3.
Get a lot of hype. Yep.
So top 25-ish. Top 25-ish.
Yeah.
If he's in Denver.
Easily.
Hampton in
top
Chicago. Hampton in Chicago about the same. Top.
Maybe higher. I think I like Trey as much or more than Hampton, but I think Hampton will get more hype.
Okay. So here's what I think
13,
people.
top 13.
Here's where people need to use logic here. If this goes this way, the only value on the board is Breece Hall. I'm not saying that I don't pay Jeanty top 9 to 12. I absolutely do. I'm not saying I don't pay top 25 for Trey Henderson. I absolutely do. I'm not saying I don't even pay for Hampton. I love it. Oh, this was Chicago. So, but here's the thing. If Hall goes to Denver, he's now a top 12 overall pick. 11 to 13 overall. Okay?
Jeanty's crazy, but he would be.
Yeah, but Jeanty's still 9 to 12. Trey, if Trey goes to Washington, let's say, he's still top 25. If Jeanty's still 9 to 12, Hampton's still 20 to 25. So a trade actually takes away one of the values on the board, and it doesn't even alter these three. So nobody should be wishing for this to go away, this Breece Hall value grab, because it's not going to change and throw Trey into a value. It's not going to throw Hampton into a value. It's not going to slingshot Jeanty into a value. All we do is lose a later round running back that could be a top 5 steal. And I don't want that. That's kind of the way I think everybody should be, looking at it. Not that what we think matters, but everybody's wishing for this trade. They're taking off a top 5 to 10 running back off the board in the dry running backs, zone. We're going to have a dry or near dead zone if we start taking these running backs out of round 3 and 4 and pull them all into round 2. Now, somebody falls. If Hall goes to 12 or 13, somebody gets bumped down, but it might just be like JSN, into the 3.2 again or something. It's not necessarily going to be a running back. So I don't know. It's going to be wild what happens, but and I do think Hall in Denver would be worth a top 12 overall pick personally. But it sucks taking Hall in round 4, which I think is where his ADP is headed now, and taking Hall in round 1 at the end of 1 or top of 2 when I don't know that it changes that much. He's in a committee in Denver too. The committee shouldn't scare anybody. It's wild to me.
You actually changed my mind, Smitty, because I like Hall, but I wanted them to go to Chicago. I wanted them to go with Ben Johnson. And he kind of convinced me, no, I want him to stay. I want him to stay at round 4 value.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid if he goes to Chicago, he's going to jump up,
high.
And
him going to Denver, Hall, or Hall going to Chicago, or Hall going to Washington, or Hall going to LV doesn't change that Jeanty, Trey, and Hampton are going to go in such good landing spots that they're all going to stay right where they are. We're losing value somewhere. Just like right now, it's Glory taking Scattaboo in round 8, wherever he goes. That won't land. That won't last. If he lands somewhere amazing, Scattaboo's going up 3-4 rounds. It's still Trey Henderson is still a value right now. Once he goes to Washington or Denver, if he goes to Washington or Denver, he doubles in value. That's why drafting right now on Underdog is so important. The link is in the live chat. The link is pinned. I'll drop the link one more time. Here's the link right here. It's pinned in the live chat. But that's why it's so important to draft now, because the values are all there. The values are just sitting there. And Aaron, I don't know if I ever ranked these, but they're all really close. And Breece Hall shouldn't be, ranked with Chuba and Jacobs, in my opinion, but he is. So they're all very, very close third-round players. And tough to say, what's going to happen for you. But I like your 3 RBs. You shouldn't be worried about them. Those are 3 really, really good RBs. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. Go ahead, Travis. You might have been saying something else.
No, I was just saying, with Hampton and Trey, and you may have mentioned it too, the chances they land in a spot that they'll get that hype to be that top 25 pick is pretty good too. because they're so good that it's likely that whatever team they go to, they're the guy. Like, there won't be any question about it. So, like you said, the hype is going to be there for them. I think once they have a landing spot, their ADP is going to jump up quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then on Hill, I just thought that Vegas could just use a receiver, but I just thought Ravens would be a good spot just because, like we talked about with Debo, as a possibility to go there. Like, they're not at their definite peak, but they still have plenty to offer. So he could go there and just do what he does best.
Yeah, from a football perspective, since he might not be the same player anyway, this would be the ideal spot from a football perspective. Wouldn't produce anyway, so
not so much
why not go there and be a big play guy that can get you, especially in the playoffs, maybe he has great games.
Right, like think of what Bateman can do for them. Tyreek would be even better.
JB said I answered this one already. JB, I'm sorry it took me so long to answer this super chat. I appreciate you, by the way. But actually, I don't know that I answered this because this is a very specific re-asking of the question. And let me ask Travis, and I'll go around the phone line. Henderson in Denver or Breece in Washington, which one? Now, I said Henderson in Denver over Breece Hall in New York, though. If Breece Hall went to Washington, then I'd feel a little more excited about that situation because I think he would produce really well there. And I think Kingsbury's system, I just really like the way he'd be used in Washington, I think differently than New York. And that might be part of the problem. Like, just when I tell people, like, look, I really don't, like Travis said, don't think there's a lot of legs to this right now, this Breece Hall getting traded business. But I've been in this business long enough, 24 plus years professionally, not as a novice, not have my little blog talk radio podcast, like 19 straight years of NFL draft coverage before I even ever started my YouTube channel. 19 straight years on CBS and NBC Sports Radio talking about rookie profiles, breaking it all down. I've done this long enough to know that anything's possible. And in smoke and mirror season, I'm very quick to sometimes shoot things down. My initial reaction was harder than my reaction even right now, but I do believe there's not a lot of legs to it. It's just smoke sometimes creates fire, versus fire creating the smoke. It's wild how it happens, but these rumors sometimes swirl around, and just like the Draft Day movie seems so unrealistic, but it isn't. There's a lot of things that get influenced in the NFL that are strangely tied to just potential, inquiries. And those inquiries could be triggered by the news, even if the news was off base. I've seen trades happen that would have never happened if there wasn't. I'm trying to remember one of them specifically comes to mind, but I know I've seen it because I remember we've talked about it. But there are trades that have happened that I believe there was no legs to it at the beginning of all the rumors and news. And then there's the player involvement, right? Even if it's player generated, like Breece Hall is unhappy, and there's something already planted there, a seed, and he eventually reading all this and he sees everything, and then Washington calls. Remember when JD5 started hanging out with Ayuk? The Niners didn't want to trade Ayuk, and then Ayuk and JD5, they're best friends. They started hanging out, and they're trying to pull this trade into existence. Like, those things happen. So I'm merely trying to say that I don't believe these rumors have legs, but it could turn into it. And I do believe that if Hall was in Washington, that scheme for him, the way they'd use him in open space, which is why I love Trey Henderson in Washington, and he'd be a top 5 to 10 running back for me. Trey Henderson might be inside my top 5 running backs, and if he's in Washington. I like Denver too, but I like Washington even more because I think they scheme the hell out of this guy. Big playability, and the fact that JD5 is running around all over the field, there's wide open lanes, wide open receiving lanes, wide open rushing lanes. Hall would rip off 5 yards plus per carry in Washington. He would be unbelievable because you have less defenders in a box 9 times out of 10 in Washington than you do, let's say, in another scenario. But Fields is the same way too. I mean, he scrambles all over the place. But mix that. I have to spy where JD5 is, and Kingsbury's scheme. I mean, I just think Breece Hall would have more 20-plus yard runs and receptions in Washington than anywhere else. But you know what the great part is? Hall in Denver, very mobile quarterback in Knicks. Hall in New York, if he stays, very mobile quarterback in Justin Fields. And Hall in Washington, JD5, the most mobile quarterback, in my opinion, in the league. Hall is going to blow up this year. Hall is not facing 8-man fronts. Hall's going to face the least amount of 8-man fronts and stacked boxes probably in the National Football League. And that's what makes me so excited about however this plays out for Breece Hall. And that's the point of this entire live stream.
And to that point, don't you just hope the Jets are smart and just stay put and just take Tyler Warren and fill that hole at tight end and just have a monster offense for Fields to run around and throw deep in?
I mean, like I said, if you ask me from a fantasy perspective, yes and no. I don't know. The thing is, if I'm the coach and Jeanty's there, he's not slipping past me. That's an honest answer.
Hall and Jeanty's better than Hall and Warren for the Jets? Because that's what it comes down to.
I think Jeanty, the way Aaron Glenn will want to run the ball, which is going to be slightly different than what Breece Hall is, which is why he has a committee mindset, because he's going to ground and pound the hell out of the ball. And so Breece he'll benefit from that, though, like I said, because you have Justin Fields in a ground and pound game. This is probably the best match for Justin Fields' skill set. Put him in a situation where you're running the hell out of the ball, not just with you, Justin Fields, but with an attack that's built differently than any offense Fields has been in. Fields has tried to do everything by himself in Chicago with DJ Moore, eventually turned him into a top 5 to 7 wide receiver. Then he goes over to Pittsburgh, where they handcuff him. He doesn't even get the playbook. He's just supposed to just keep the seat warm, just run the ball yourself, and Arthur Smith is so bad that it's just like you didn't ever see that. You didn't ever see him have his max potential. He's going to be completely unlocked because they're going to ground and pound the ball. And I think Jeanty does fit a little, just being honest, does fit the Jets a little bit better. Doesn't mean that if Hall stays, he won't be looking like, think of Judkins in Ohio State and think of how they use Trey Henderson. Now, granted, you want Henderson to get more carries, or you want Breece Hall to get more carries than Henderson got at Ohio State, but look how good and productive he was. He had 1,000 yards. He had 10 touchdowns. Henderson was a beast. And I think that that's the way the Jets will use Breece Hall. Big plays, huge rips, 5-7 yards a carry some games for Breece Hall on 10, 12 carries, because they're going to be wide open lanes, and throw the ball to him 4, 5, 6 times a game. So I love where Hall is, but if you put Jeanty in this ground and pound system that I think Aaron Glenn's going to implement with Fields, just making defenses go, what do we do? What do we do? I love it. So I don't know.
I do too.
I don't know.
I guess I was asking more from a football perspective.
Yeah,
Are they better off with Hall and Warren?
I think
than they would be with just Jeanty.
I think any team with Jeanty is better off, unless you got Bijan or Gibbs or Barkley.
I really like.
I think Jeanty's
the idea of doing the Gibbs Monty thing with Hall and Braylon Allen. I think that could work great.
Yeah, I think it will work really well. But if it was, I'm just answering this question honestly, and I know it's not
sure,
what
yeah.
the owner want. But I even if I couldn't get rid of Hall, I'd have Jeanty and Hall. That's what I would do, and I would make it work. I would make Hall ultra productive. Hall would become more of a receiver, but from a running back perspective, both of them on the field at the same time. And I would get Hall 900 and 900. Hall would have 800 and 900, or 900 and 700. It could be 700 and 900. He'd have 900 receiving yards, maybe 1,000. And the more closer he was to 1,000, the more he'd be at 500, 600 rushing yards. But I would give Jeanty 1,400 yards on the ground. Hall would be a combination of 800, 900, and 400. Jeanty would have probably 12 to 14 to 15 touchdowns, maybe 15 touchdowns. Hall would probably have 8 to 10, but 80 receptions, 90 receptions. He'd be a 90 reception receiving running back in my system. And this would be like the Austin Eckler of Austin Eckler's, younger days. Remember when Austin Eckler was a 300 to 400 yard rusher? And when he transitioned, when Melvin Gordon left the Chargers, Austin Eckler had never run for more than like 450 yards, if I remember correctly, and he became a 1,000-yard rusher, and it was like, is he going to hold up? It was crazy. He did a good job holding up, but he was a 1,000-yard receiving threat with Melvin Gordon. That's what you get. Melvin Gordon and Eckler, Hall and Jeanty would be remarkable, but people would run away from Hall to the tune of a 5th-round pick if they kept Hall and drafted Jeanty, which I don't think will happen. I'm just kind of talking football here. From a fantasy perspective, I think it still could work out if they implement it right. But from a fantasy perspective, again, we don't want Hall leaving because Hall is a 4th-rounder right now. If Hall leaves and Jeanty goes to New York, Hall's going to become a top 12 pick as well. I don't want it. Nobody should want it. We don't want to be looking at this. Hall, 11 to 13 overall. Jeanty, 9 to 12 overall. Trey Henderson in Washington, top 25. Hampton, top. We want Hall going nowhere, staying in New York, and being, instead of a 11 to 13 overall, he's now a 4th-round pick. And this is the best value, and nothing else is going to change anyway. So that's the way I look at it from a fantasy perspective.
Can I say something?
Who's this? Gump?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gump.
Sure looks like Justin Fields' stock has gone up.
It sure is, but not in the 5th round where you said.
Up it goes, rockets to the moon. To Mars,
what happened to your Winston hype? What happened? You were all about Winston the other day.
I still am.
Okay. Some days you hate your job. Why, Sick Nasty?
I'm on vacation. I'm over here in Michigan. I went fishing. I got cold. I was Lake Michigan. I got onto the show. Oh yeah.
Isn't it true?
Something else.
Isn't it true that? Isn't it true that 50% of Canadians live below Detroit? Like, so I think it's a lot. It's a
lot of Detroit.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that Canada is above the U.S., but the majority of the entire population of Canada lives inside the U.S. in that dip near Michigan, which is such a cool.
They're all Michigan fans. They're all Wolverine fans too.
Like if you draw a line, what do they call that? The line above Montana? What's that thing called? What's the damn line called? It's where the top of the United States, that line that goes straight across Montana. If you go straight across, Canada dips in to the U.S. where Michigan is, and I think it's 40 or 50% of the entire Canadian population is inside that area, which is wild. Anyway.
Can I say something? One more thing?
Yeah, Gump, you don't need to ask permission. Just say it real quick. Go ahead.
This is from the other day about the tush push.
Yeah, what about it?
Campbell's and he says that they should just let them keep it because they came up with it, just like you said. But you know what my remedy for the tush push is?
What is that, Gump?
That big guy, that big 450-pound guy. Can I call him Butterbean? That guy.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know who Butterbean is?
Oh. The lineman.
Butterbean.
Yeah, but
the boxer, Butterbean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that big fat guy, that jump ropes and it weighs 450 pounds. Let the Lions get him.
That's a good idea.
Stick him in the thing. He's as
big
as a bear.
That's a good one, Gump.
Talk about Desmond Walker.
Yeah, Desmond Walker. Put him in. We need him now. That guy's stock should be going up.
Interesting.
He's like
Thanks, Gump.
Move.
He's freaking Butterbean.
Left to right.
Okay, Gump.
I don't know.
Straight line.
He's a knockout punch for the.
All right, Gump. That's enough. You're gonna get hung up on enough. Okay, we got it. Gump. Last question for you, my guy. Where do you want Ashton Jeanty to be drafted? And these are two different questions. Where do you want him to be drafted, and where will he be drafted?
Where would I want him to be drafted?
Mm-hmm.
Well, where I really want him to be drafted is San Diego, but that's just where
there's no team. Yeah, there's no team. There's no team in San Diego.
No, I mean the Chargers.
Okay.
I mean, I like.
You want Jeanty in LAC?
I probably want Jeanty. I like Pete. I like I like the Chargers. I like any running coach that loves.
I mean, I'm kind of torn on LAC.
Definitely not Pittsburgh. Definitely not Pittsburgh.
I feel like if
definitely not Chicago.
I feel like if LAC, they're called the border. You guys are wild. No, it's not the border that we're talking about. It's I think it's called the 47th parallel. I think that is what it's called. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it goes across Montana, and it's a line that's drawn to represent the latitude or whatever so no, I don't mean the border. The border. You guys mean the border?
Well, to be honest with you,
I'm worried, William. And my mommy just warmed me up a hot pocket, and I'd never even talked to a hot chick.
Who I'd really like Jeanty to go to, about you really, really wanted to know?
You just said who you really want. Now you changing it now? You changing it?
No, the Cowboys. They haven't had a really, really good running.
Cowboys are they're gonna take Ted McMillan. I'm about 80% sure if he's there, the Cowboys are going Ted. They've been on that for a while, it seems. But again, smoke and mirror season.
Jerry Jones is looking at Jerry Jones is really.
I think I think Jerry's. It could be Hampton maybe if he gets a change in the wins, but I think Tet because he's trying to protect his Dak Prescott cost of entry. Or not.
I think it's a good spot for Tet actually.
It's a good spot. I don't think he'll ever develop into the player that people want him to be, but from a football perspective, and I think he does produce pretty well there, but it's never going to be a wide receiver.
The Cowboys ain't the Cowboys unless they have a running back. I like a superstar.
Well, I mean, we'll see what Jeanty does, but they could still take Cam Scattaboo later. Something Scat's going to go in the third round. I don't know. He could. I doubt he does, but he could. If Scat's available, that's a great player to land in Dallas.
Cowboys need a big running back. They're big. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Do the Cowboys?
They want big.
All right.
They want big.
Gump, gotta let you go. Appreciate you, Gump. Call in tonight if we go. Or actually, it is tonight. Well, okay. Mute yourself. I think. Dallas would be interesting. Like, do the Cowboys have the 12th pick in the second round, or did they move that around or something?
I got it right here. They have.
Because they could get Scat there. If that's the same pick, if they hold their own pick.
Yeah, they're the 44th pick. Yep.
Okay, that's perfect. I think they can get one of the big Judkins, or he could go earlier. Judkins could go earlier, but they could get Scat or Judkins, or I mean Caleb Johnson. I could kind of see in Dallas too, but I don't know. I don't mind him. I just think he had a horrible combine, and there's this reason to not like him as much as the other guys. But it will be interesting. Like, what do we do if? What do we do if Caleb Johnson goes to the Cowboys, and let's say Hampton goes to like a wild situation that we never anticipated? Like, let's say he goes to Carolina, where Hubbard's there, and like do we all of a sudden like Caleb Johnson fantasy worlds more in Dallas than we like Hampton in Carolina? Like that would be crazy.
Maybe,
Or if Hampton goes to the Jaguars, let's say the Jags trade down to like 12 or 13 or 11 or 10, and they take Hampton, or
if that happens, you have to think ETN or Bigsby are gone.
Yeah,
I think Hampton could still be the guy.
Bigsby has almost no chance of getting traded over ETN because he's the contract and everything, but
right. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like ETN would have to be gone, but like, what if like, what if he? And I don't think it would happen. But what if he starts to fall the way the draft goes, and you get a team, something like Tennessee or something like that, jumps back up into the first round. Crazy like that.
Let me get you guys' opinion on this real quickly, because JB and still never really answered JB's question. Henderson in Denver or Breece in Washington? I think from a redraft perspective, I could see myself saying Breece Hall. From a dynasty perspective, I still lean a little toward Hendy because of the longevity, and Breece Hall's played a while already. there's a chance that Ziggy. How old is Breece Hall? So, hold on. Ziggy, volume 10. I just want to get him to say it. Ziggy, how old is Breece Hall?
Breece Hall is 71 years old.
71! Holy shit!
Good God.
Ziggy, how old is Breece Hall?
I wonder why they want to trade him.
Ziggy.
Oh, no.
Ziggy, never mind. Kick rocks. Hold on. Hey, Kruger, how old is Breece Hall, the running back for the Jets?
Now the Jets have Breece Hall as their lead back, and they've got Michael Carter backing him up.
Michael Carter? No, Kruger, you caught the Ziggy. Oh my God. I've got nobody. I've got no help. Let's go back to Ziggy. Ziggy, how old is Breece Hall?
Breece Hall is 71 years
old. Son of a... I have no support. 23 years old, born in May. Still so young. 23. I don't know that we could even say there's that much of. I mean, there's still mileage though. There's the mileage concern, but damn,
he's 20, like 25.
He's 23 years old. No way. May 2001. He's born after Y2K. Right? 23 years old. Damn, bro. Can you imagine being a bouncer and you're looking at in his 2003? You born in 2003? Okay, come on in. That's wild.
So that means that Breece Hall's going to Dallas.
That does? Why does that mean that, Gump?
Because they want another Tony Dorsett.
Where'd you get
the Cowboys do not function without a star running back. It's plain and simple.
Gump, you're forgetting one thing.
Doesn't mean they're going to get him.
Yeah, you're forgetting that Jerry Jones still has to make the decision, pal.
He's always off his rocker.
Yeah.
I'm telling you the truth. They're looking for Tony Dorsett.
Gump, you're not telling me that.
Remember Tony Dorsett?
Gump. Jerry didn't bring in Derrick Henry. He didn't bring in Josh Jacobs. He didn't bring in Saquon Barkley. He wanted to go with Rico Dowdle and Zeke Elliott. Jerry didn't bring in anybody this offseason, and there's a lot of rumors, a lot of them, that he doesn't want to draft a high-end rookie, and even if Jeanty's there, he's not really that interested, it sounds like. So he went and got Javonte. He went and got Miles Sanders. I think you're giving Jerry a lot of credit he does not deserve. He's not looking for anything right now at the running back position, unfortunately. I hope he changes his mind on draft day and the wind's blowing a different way and he drafts Hampton or Trey Henderson or something like that, but there's a real good chance Jerry doesn't want anything at the running back position. Where are you getting this thing he wants to the next?
Smoke and mirrors. Okay. Smoke and mirrors, you said it. Smoke and mirrors.
I hope so, Gump. I hope so.
Oh, yeah. That's why we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do. You know, freaking Jerry Jones is licking his chops in this big back room. You better believe it. And and my big question is, when it all goes down after the draft, what day after the draft, the same day or the 2 days later, when do those other veterans make a move? What's the percentage? What day are we looking at that everything's going to really blow up like a circus?
Okay.
And Breece Hall goes to the Cowboys or something like that.
I mean, look, if he does, I'm excited for it. But I don't think the Cowboys. I don't think Jerry knows what he's doing, bro. I don't think he knows where he is. All right, Henderson.
I really think the Cowboys. I mean, that every Cowboys.
So let me go around. Hold on, Gump, before you get hung up on Henderson in. What was it again? Henderson in Denver or Breece Hall in Washington? Which one's better?
Hendy.
Bruce says Hendy. I mean, you could answer redraft and dynasty because I think it's important to talk about both. I personally think dynasty, Henderson, Breece Hall redraft.
I think I agree with you on that. The redraft dynasty. At first, I was thinking there'll be enough touchdowns to go around with if they keep Robinson and Debo and Breece Hall and JD5. But I mean, I think their offense. If they got a Hall in there too, I mean, they could score, 50, 60 touchdowns in terms of that offense.
Yeah.
They could go crazy.
I still stand by. I like Hampton a lot. I'm not saying that on draft day I won't come in here and say, Hampton goes to the Bears and Trey Henderson goes somewhere cloudy. That I'm not going to have the landing spot help guide my fantasy football ranking. Because this is definitely an important part of the value, the production. But I stand by that Trey Henderson's by far and away the second best running back in this draft class. In my opinion.
Yep. I like that.
I just like Hendy with Bo Nix. I think that's a good combo in both senses.
What did Rockout say? Rockout's a Washington fan.
Yeah, Rockout.
He says.
What do you want? Rockout, you want Breece Hall in Washington or Henderson in Denver if you had to pick a fantasy football redraft asset?
As far as redraft, probably Breece, but in Dynasty, Henderson.
Big Dog says Breece Hall could be nice in a Bills uniform. You better be trading holdout candidate James Cook, though. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to imagine this happening because if you trade for wherever Breece Hall goes, he's getting an extension. So
yeah,
this is a team that doesn't want to pay James Cook, who's in the system, doing well in the system. What makes you think they're gonna trade for Breece Hall, trade James Cook, and then pay Breece Hall big money to keep him? Because what are you gonna do? Let him walk away? So,
I got a question. Who do we all see Pittsburgh ending up with as a running back? Do we think they possibly use the first round pick, or do you think they wait till the second? I don't know why I keep thinking Judkins is going to end up there. I don't know why I see him as a Steeler.
Do they have their
and everyone else like?
Do they have a higher pick than 20?
Yeah, they have.
Do?
So they have 21, and then they have
48.
Oh, you know what? No, they traded their second round pick to Seattle.
Oh yeah. So they have no second?
I realize that. I don't think so.
Well, I honestly could see them taking. I mean, Hampton won't fall to 21 anymore. But there was a point where people thought Hampton was going to slip into round 1. Now he's in the teens. I think that it wouldn't be crazy if Denver doesn't go Trey Henderson. It wouldn't be insane for them to take him there. I don't know if he fits their system as much as like a round and pound runner. So could they go Judkins or a Scadaboo? Trade down and take Scadaboo. Scadaboo's not going around 1, but do I think they would trade down and take him a lot later, or trade up from the third round into the second round? Or if Scadaboo falls to the third round, like some people predict, I don't know that he will.
Yeah.
But I think that they'd probably be better off than spending a 21 on Trey and, pulling the trigger so early.
They might try to trade back to get a second rounder since they don't have one.
Yeah.
I try to get back in there. I didn't realize that. I was thinking that they might take like a Judkins second. I don't know if I don't think Judkins will last until the third. I don't know. What does everyone else think? What do they like on Pittsburgh?
Personally, here it comes from me. It comes from Aaron Rodgers. If he didn't sign before the draft, and Jason Dart's sitting there, let's just say at 21, I'm taking him and saying, all right, I'm set at quarterback, Aaron. I'm tired of the flirtatious relationship with you.
We got a Jeanty hater in the building. Dylan can't shoot says Jeanty has a victim mentality. He whined when he didn't win the Heisman, and Jeanty is not a better prospect than Bijan or Breece Hall. The data would suggest you're wrong, Dylan. I mean, I'm not trying to tear down Bijan at all. I'm not trying to tear down Breece Hall. I love those guys more than anybody as incoming rookies. Breece Hall, we were all over Breece Hall. Bijan Robinson, I took the L for his rookie year because if I'm going to say I'm the highest on him and he didn't deliver, I've already said I wear that scarlet B on my forehead the scarlet letter of Bijan Robinson's rookie year. But so just to preface that your boys is high on these two individuals as humanly possible, but for you to come in and you're trying to throw sling hate all over Jeanty. What evidence do you have? Absolutely none is the answer. Absolutely none. Jeanty is, hold on, Gump. I'm trying to do a show here. Jeanty is one of, if not the best prospect, period, at the running back position to ever come out of college since probably Barry Sanders. One could argue Barkley and Bijan are right there with him, but one can argue that he's not with Bijan and Barkley. What are you talking about? 100 yards in every single game last year, my guy. First in the nation in yards after contact. First in the nation in forced missed tackles. What are you talking about, bro?
Can we say it again?
Gump, what do you want? Gump, go ahead.
Can we say it again? Julio Jones retired this year. Can we say the Atlanta Falcons does something crazy, like trade Bijan to Dallas? Is that what you're saying?
What does Julio Jones have to do? What do you, Gump?
Bijan to Dallas?
No.
Finish him.
No.
Call terminated.
I had enough of the little nuances. Gump, call him tomorrow. Try again. All right. Jeanty, victim mentality.
And the whole he didn't play any good competition. I don't buy that either. Like, you can factor that in a little bit, but use the eye test with guys like Jeanty, you know.
Yeah, that doesn't fly with me. I mean, you also got to factor in things like he was second in all of college football in stacked boxes. He was second in the entire nation in stacked boxes. Do you count for that? Do you count for that and say, okay, if he played a little bit tougher competition with less stacked boxes, is it equal? Because this man faced the second most stacked boxes in all of FBS. You know, honestly, it's a victim mentality that he has, the Dillon guy, because he is predicted decline or failure for Jeanty, and it hasn't happened. You know, he probably was very against he's not going to get near Barry Sanders, right? He's not going to get 29 touchdowns and 6,100 rushing yards. He just won't do it. And he did it, and now Dillon's scrambling for anything he can. Like, what can I do? What can I say? How can I tear him down? I almost guarantee he hates Shedeur Sanders. I almost guarantee that guy that hates Jeanty hates Achane and Kyron. Yeah, well, Kyron's going to lose carries to Corum, right? Right, Dylan?
Jeanty didn't fumble 8 times last year. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he did and got him back, but.
Hi, I'm worried William, and my mommy just warmed me up a hot pocket, and I've never even talked to a hot chick.
All right, I'm out of here, boys. Anything else? Let me go around the phone line real quickly. Bruce, final thoughts.
Personally, and I don't know if this team was brought up, but I want Hill to go to San Diego to team with Herbert to go.
You want what? Say it again.
I want Tyreek Hill to go play with Justin Herbert. If the trade is true, I want him to go with Justin Herbert.
Okay. I don't hate that. All right. We'll see you later, Brucey. Appreciate you, bro.
Yep.
Rock out. Final thoughts.
Shout out to Alco Vection for breaking the top goal scorer of NHL history.
Yeah. That guy, you know, what's crazy is I have a photo on my phone somewhere where there's a picture of him. Hold on, I got it right here. He's standing with Wayne Gretzky. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's standing with Wayne Gretzky right here in 2004. So Ovechkin was drafted June 26, 2004. And there's a picture of them standing next to each other. And on the top photo, he has Gretzky has 894 goals, you know, the record, and Ovechkin has 0. And then the same photo down there, about 21 years later, he's got one more gold than Gretzky. You can't even really see it because of the glare, but it's just unbelievable. All right, we'll see you later, my boy. Call in tomorrow. Later. Travis, final thoughts.
Yeah, can I just ask you a trade question quick? Someone was asking about it. All right, so it's a Superflex league. The quarterbacks they currently have are JD5, Baker, and AR5. Right?
Okay.
They got offered Gibbs and MHJ. They would have to give up Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, Juwan Jennings, and the 4.06 pick.
So they get Gibbs and MHJ?
Yep.
And who are their quarterbacks if they trade Baker?
They'd have JD5 and AR5.
Yeah, easy. Well, AR5. Who else does he have besides AR5? I still do it.
Baker's the only other one. So, yeah, I would too, but I want to run it by you because that's the only kind of question mark.
I still do it. I mean, Barkley in a dynasty, I love him, but he's going to start fading at some point really soon, like in the next year or two.
Right.
Yeah, I think he just wants attention too. When Jeanty is a bust, I want my flowers. How about when you win a fantasy league, we'll give you flowers. How about we start there? Baby steps before you start running your mouth about.
And off he goes.
Getting
to the planet.
One of the worst takes ever assembled this year. Congratulations, he made the board. When he's a bust, I won't come back. When he's a bust, I won't be here. You know how many times people like you drop something ridiculously embarrassing like that, and when it doesn't happen, you never come back. You change your name.
Never.
Tuck your tail between your legs.
Never.
And run away. Go get your hot pocket.
Hi, I'm worried William, and my mommy just warmed me up a hot pocket, and I've never even talked to a hot chick. Hey, I'm Dom, and I drive fast cars, get hot chicks, and draft Ashton Jeanty, double fist style, with 2 cell phones at the same time. Why do I have 2 cell phones? One for looking up Ashton Jeanty stats all day, the other is for getting chicks.
Learn about it. Dom's doing it, Dylan. You can be Dom if you want. If you wanted to be Dom, it's in your control. But unfortunately, you want to be worried William. All right. We'll see you later, Travis. Call in tomorrow.
Yep. Later. Bye.
All right. I'm out of here. Appreciate you all. What else was I gonna show you guys? There was another piece of news somewhere, but we'll deal with it tomorrow. This is what we wanted this show to be about. I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. Don't forget to get on over to my thefantasyfootballshow.com, which is my year-round rankings site I've had up since 2003/2002, which is crazy because that's when Breece Hall was born. When Breece Hall was born, I started creating this content for the very first time. Wow, that's kind of sad and depressing. But when Breece Hall was a baby drinking from his little bottle and he had a binky and he was sharding his pants, I was creating this content. I created the trade calculator in the fantasy industry the year Breece Hall sharded his pants for the very first time. So get on over to this well-oiled machine that's been massaged for years and put right into its place. thefantasyfootballshow.com. Do it live. And don't forget to get on over to the Patreon, where you can chat live anytime you want with the fine folks in the live chat community that you see to your right, left, bottom, below, wherever you're seeing the live chat. And that live chat community is basically on Patreon. So get on over. That link is in the description of the video, but I'll drop it in the live chat right now so you can join the Patreon. And let's all get over to the Patreon right now and talk about these topics or whatever else you want. I'll be on Patreon for the next half hour to an hour talking with you all. So get on over there. Here's the link if you want to get over there and do a live chat with me. I'll see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you.